Let's talk about the OCD contamination source nobody wants to talk about. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist and I make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about something that people don't talk about. And part of the reason that people don't talk about this is because it's embarrassing and it can cause a lot of shame. But here's the thing. When you're an OCD therapist, you hear about this all the time. And you know it's common. And you know that so many people are going through it. And so when people don't talk about it, it actually adds to the stigma and the shame because then you think you're the only one. But here's the deal. You're not the only one. So let's talk about OCD contamination and bodily fluid, in particular, semen. People don't want to talk about that. However, when you are a teen or adult experiencing OCD, OCD will hook into anything that's embarrassing or has the potential of shame or disgust attached to it. It's the perfect one for OCD to hook into because it's a normal bodily function and it happens to every single boy and man. And when you are in puberty and beyond, there's a lot of emotion and thought around that. And OCD's like, this is fantastic. What a great opportunity for me to make you feel really embarrassed or uncomfortable. Everyone who has OCD contamination around this theme have different types of intrusive thoughts. So that part changes and is different for each person. But here are some common ones. One is around moral or scrupulosity OCD. So if you already have that flavor, this is a great opportunity for OCD to introduce another aspect. It will say, you're spreading your disgust, you're spreading your perverted self all around. Your family is touching things. It's gross and disgusting and you're a bad person. So for some people, some of you maybe, it centers around your moral OCD themes, feeling like a bad person, feeling like a pervert, feeling like you're gross or sexually deviant. That's one category. For other people, I have seen that they're worried about it just being gross and it feels disgusting. And so it's just the idea of disgust. Disgust OCD is often missed, but it's a common one. And there's just this feeling of, ew, it's really gross, it's disgusting. I'm touching this bodily fluid or I'm producing this bodily fluid and now I'm spreading it around all over the world. People are touching it. It's gross. And for some people, it's not a reflection of people are going to think I'm gross or I'm a bad person or I'm disgusting. It is more of just the idea of it is disgusting. Those are just two examples of the many different ways that this theme can show up for you. But here is the deal. It's all OCD. It doesn't matter what ground zero for OCD contamination is. I'm doing this video just to let you know that this is normal. Because more often than not, when people don't want to tell us as therapists or even as parents what the OCD contamination source is, sometimes they don't know, but sometimes it's because it's this, because it's that, and they're embarrassed and they're ashamed and they think nobody else has this particular theme. They do. It's super common, more often than not, when I see a teen boy or an adult man with OCD contamination, more than half the time, this is part of the theme. Not always, but a lot of the time. So you approach it just like you approach anything else. You realize that OCD is hooking into a normal, common behavior, and it is using it for its own devices. So it can grow OCD bigger. And go back to my OCD contamination video, which I'll link, and it's right here, that talks about how do you deal with OCD contamination regardless of what is ground zero. What I call ground zero is like the source, the focal point of what is causing the contamination. It could be bodily fluid, it could be germs, it could be dust, it could be plastic, it could be a bad thought and then you touched it, it could be anything. But ground zero can be bodily fluid and it can be embarrassing. But how you deal with it is the same. OCD gives you a list of rules that you need to follow. And with contamination OCD, you feel like you have to track everything. I touched this and then I touched that. My bed sheets touched this or my underwear touched that. Those tend to be ground zero part 2, right? Because they're once removed from the source. And then My mom did the laundry, so now she's contaminated. It just blows up. And you're trying to remember all this and keep track of everything and what you can touch and what you can't touch and what you need to wash because it touched something else. And here's the truth about contamination OCD. It's all for nothing. It's all for nothing. You're following all these rules. You are working yourself up and you're on this hamster wheel of following and tracking and washing and remembering for nothing. Because the way to get through OCD is to not get hooked into the rules that OCD wants you to follow in OCD contamination, and to recognize that this is a false alarm in your brain and that you are evoking all these feelings and it's very uncomfortable. But the more you try to get rid of the discomfort by following OCD's rules, the more rules OCD will give you. And your world can get smaller and smaller and smaller due to contamination, to the point where I have seen people literally only be able to be on their bed. And for you, if this is your theme, bed probably won't be a thing because that's probably the source of contamination. And so it makes your world very, very tiny. And the way to get your power back, to get your life back, is to slowly and systematically pull back those rules and start to turn what I call in this other video, if you watch it, turn things that are red, which is completely contaminated, turn them back to green, which is back to being able to touch them and they're not contaminated. Look at my other video that walks you through step by step, because contamination OCD is contamination OCD. It doesn't matter what the source is. I just want to make this video to let you know that we know that this is a theme. You're not alone. And let's move past this. Let's remove the shame from this. Let's know that this is normal. And then watch this other video to get those skills to get your life back. I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.